He's elite, very elite. Kelly McCrimmon telling The Athletic's Pierre LeBrun that he's excited to see Mitch Marner in camp in the next couple of weeks, but he won't say if Marner needed a fresh start. He's just happy that he's here. It is Marner Monday, and it's next right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. Start of a new week, 5 days a week coming up ahead. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from the boxing capital of the world, Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, and please make sure that you subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. I am a longtime sportscaster, a marketing consultant, and the host of the new Believe in Vegas podcast. And Chris is the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports and the collectibles editor for the Hockey News. Now, coming up ahead, in addition to our top story, Kelly McCrimmon also in that interview saying that the roster is set. And we have the Pacific points over under from FanDuel. So it is Marner Monday, and Kelly McCrimmon tells The Athletic that Mitch Marner is elite, very elite, as we mentioned, and the Golden Knights cannot wait for him to hit training camp here very shortly. And he said that he's going to complement the current VGK roster, but he won't address whether Marner will be happier here. Only concerned that he is here, sounds like McCrimmon, right? And what he does on the ice.
Yeah, McCrimmon very kind of nonchalant here and just kind of going by the book. Very elite. Yeah, I mean, good take, Krim. Good job. That's a no-brainer. But this goes back to you look at who's been targeted in the past, this team, starting with Eichel and Pietrangelo, and then the team going for Noah Hannafin, possibly Rasmus Anderson, and all these other, top tier one elite talents. I mean, let's face it, it's what you need to win in the National Hockey League these days. You need 1, 2, 3 possibly elite difference makers. Doesn't got to be 100-point players necessarily, although if Eichel and Marner did get 100 points, that would be wonderful. But you need these difference makers. And if any team in the NHL is still wondering how to ice a contending Stanley Cup roster, Kelly McCrimmon is offering free lessons on basically a daily basis.
And, what about McCrimmon saying that there is a perception about VGK that they go after every player? He said, no, we only go after specific players. He's pretty sure that these guys, as you mentioned, are difference makers. And he does point out the additions of Mark Stone, Alex Pietrangelo, Jack Eichel, Tomas Hertl, Noah Hannafin. He hasn't done anything yet in any event. Those are all big gets and the right guys. And that's why Marner is going to fit in just fine here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think McCrimmon gets bothered by everyone saying Vegas is in on every shiny new toy, but there's a reason that people say that. It's because Vegas is in on every shiny new toy. And God forbid, like McDavid just came out recently with some news, about it could be, his quote about term, right?
Right.
Someone asked him about his contract situation. It could be 2 years, it could be 4 years, it could be 8 term, it could be no term, like talking about like a 1-year deal or something like that. So, the longer stuff goes on up in Edmonton about McDavid not getting an extension worked out, Vegas's name is going to pop up at some point just because that's what happens anytime there's a superstar on the table right now. And I mean, being a fan, being a supporter, being whatever we are in the media side of things, it's nice having this content, for lack of a better term. From the fan side, it's nice knowing that this team likely in the next 8 years of Marner, hopefully the next 8 years of Eichel, for the next 5 years, they're going to be bona fide Stanley Cup contenders, maybe the next 6 years. And that's fortunate. That's a good thing.
Okay, I've got another angle too. You're Pierre LeBrun, and you have Kelly McCrimmon. And one of the biggest storylines about the acquisition of Marner were the tampering allegations. Wouldn't you, as a journalist, have asked that? I would have asked.
I mean, listen,
No,
I've heard stories, I've heard above the table stories and under the table stories about, how
I
long
got
Marner
shooed
to
off on the
Vegas.
show. You shooed
What's
me
that?
off. You shooed me off like that.
I shoot you off. I shoot you off. Yes. No, I mean I'm blowing it off because I don't think it's a big deal, and you can't tell me that every single player when they have a contract coming up, they're getting phone calls, they're having meetings, they're maybe it's not like agent to agent, but some in between type person, and it's happening everywhere. And you know what? If I mean, I think from what I've heard, it was happening, but if there was any discussions while Marner was still a Maple Leaf, I'm not talking at the end of his situation when the trade happened, but at some time last year, if he and his family decided to kick the tires on Vegas and think about it, so friggin' what? So
Mhm.
friggin' what? Every player is doing that, and you know what? If Vegas did in fact slightly tamper the situation a little bit, so what? They're playing the game better. Like I don't know how else to say it.
The biggest comparisons that we've heard about the situation is they compare Eichel and Marner. And in this story, it was a little bit different comparisons to Stone, but I don't remember Stoney, as they call him, getting like death threats, having his address put out there, or the address of his local Sobeys, it's a supermarket where he takes selfies. I don't remember any of those incidents. This is pretty tough, man. This is going to be quite a situation here, and it's like going to paradise for Mitch Marner after leaving Toronto.
For sure. And listen, Toronto, it's a different situation altogether. I remember talking to Ryan Reeves about the difference. He's the one who brought it up about the media being a little more aggressive in Toronto. And then he walked it back and said, oh, there's just more media than Vegas, But point being is the Toronto media will certainly put a little more pressure on you based on what I've heard from players, what they're saying. I'm not making this up about the two media markets, simply going off of what we've heard through the Marner situation, and even before Marner to Vegas was talked about. You knew that being in an original six market, Toronto, top two market, probably in the NHL, it's going to be tougher playing there. But I'll still push back just because Marner is leaving the media circus and hockey is much more cover your ears, Golden Knight fans. Hockey is much more important to in Toronto than it is in Vegas. Again, not knock on the Vegas fans, just the reality of the history and the roots that Toronto has versus what's happening in Vegas. But coming to Vegas, there is just as much pressure to perform. And I've been on two different shows since Marner's come to Vegas, and I mentioned that I get laughed at. I get laughed at when people say there's no pressure on Marner when he comes to Vegas. Vegas is a country club. No, it's not. I get what Pacioretty said about it being a country
It
club,
is. It
but
is.
Pacioretty did not talk about the results and the expectations. And if things don't work out, players are traded. Now, Marner, 8-year contract. He's not going anywhere for 5 or 6 years at the least, if not playing out his entire contract. But if you don't work out in Vegas, coaches get fired, situations change, locker room situations change, and Marner's going to have equal to or greater the amount of pressure to perform on the ice. It may not come from the media and random fans at Smith's and all the other places they're going to be shopping around in Summerlin, but you bet that you're going to hear it from Cassidy and McCrimmon, and George McPhee and even Foley if he gets pissed off enough.
So, you know what? It's here. Hockey season's here. And the first preseason game less than 2 weeks away
2 weeks, wow.
on September the 21st. So, it's a good time still to get out there to City National and
Oh
check out
yeah,
the
this is the
players.
time, 10:30, 11 in the morning. Get there. More and more players are showing up now.
And you saw a bunch of them, right? Over the summer.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, Barbashev, Riley Smith, Kolesar was out there. I saw Aiden Hill getting some time in. I think Lazan was out there. I mean, it's not just Vegas players. Like if there's players that are traveling, or players that have houses here or rooming with someone, they're out there. You never know who's going to pop up, and this is the fun time because it's maybe two or three other fans in there. If you can get your kids off school and play hooky for a day, you can probably have the experience of a lifetime, getting some amazing interactions and stuff. And this is the time.
Coming up next in that very same interview, McCrimmon says VGK's roster is pretty much set. Do we believe it? Next, right here on Lockdown Golden Knights.
I'm looking for something.
The
Go ahead, Tony.
NFL season, let's just go into this. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure that you are ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. That's right. The NFL season is here, I should say, not almost here, because already we have all of our picks in from yesterday, and your fantasy team's already out of it. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. Again, this is across the app, and you can use it whichever way you like. And we definitely like FanDuel because, again, they are prop friendly. And of course, you've got the same game parlays, and you can even jump in live as that action unfolds. And could have been a fun night last night going back and forth in betting on that Ravens Bills game. That was quite exciting at the end. Again, if you are ready to play, download the FanDuel app today, and you could visit FanDuel.com. Go to FanDuel.com and you'll get started, and that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 wager. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights from Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world. It's fight week, man, and I'm ready to go. I'm there.
Vegas has a different, like, it's still a boxing town, and maybe not as
The
much as it
boxing
used to be.
capital of the world. It still is the boxing
Right, but I
capital of the
remember
world.
where I'm going with this real fast is that, like, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when I was first, really on the strip on a daily basis working, the energy of a boxing night just was completely different than any other night of the week. It's a little different now, but still, when boxing comes to town, it just feels different, and it's awesome.
Yeah, first fight there at Allegiant Stadium other than Raider fans versus 49er fans. So this will be pretty good. It'll be fun and exciting out there this Saturday night. And I'm going to be at all the events the upcoming week. We've got starting with the fighter arrivals there on Tuesday night at the Fountain Blue, all the way up to the pressers, the weigh-ins, everything else. I'm all in on this one. Do you believe Kelly McCrimmon saying that the roster, I think, this is what he said, our roster, I think, is pretty much set. And that's what he said in that Pierre LeBrun interview. If so, the plan is to make it perhaps to the trade deadline and then fire away from there. What do you think the strategy is? This is not right now. I do not believe that this is a cup contending roster from top to bottom.
I mean, defense is, of course, where we're going to be concerned. And
yes,
that was also brought up by McCrimmon a little bit. He addressed that Korzak will be an everyday player and basically gave a vote of confidence to good old Ben Hutton, who's apparently still a Vegas Golden Knights. So hopefully that whole situation will play out. I mean, is Ben Hutton going to possibly push Lazon out to, being the seventh defender or something like that? So who knows? I mean, you said cup contending team roster is set. I'll start with the roster is set. McCrimmon said this before around trade deadlines, and he's held his word about it. The last couple times he said, that the roster seems like it's pretty much set and no big moves were made throughout the week. That was the Riley Smith situation last year. So when McCrimmon says something like that, yeah, I mean, it might just kind of be wait and see. The situation with, of course, Anderson and Calgary is the number one situation to watch, but it seems like that just kind of needs some more time for the season to play out and see what happens with injuries and see how desperate the Flames get to move on from Anderson, knowing he is almost less than 1% to extend in Calgary for another run. So trade him now, give the Golden Knights a chance to get that extra year on the extension, and they'll get the best possible return. They might get Ben Hutton in return. Who knows?
It's pretty funny, though, that they had to make sure that they mentioned, again, kicking the tires on Rasmus Anderson starting in June. They started in June with that conversation. And then, it's just kind of strange that McCrimmon says he's content with the blue line. And then it was so funny, though, right? Because you and I have been singing the praises of Ben Hutton. We absolutely believe that he could become or should be an everyday player. And then, of course, you have
You're a little higher than
McCrimmon saying, huh?
You're a little higher than I am, but
I am high on him, that's for sure. He says he has a lot more to give than people realize. Has not been listening to the show closely enough over the past few months. But I know he listens.
whose people realize. I
Yeah,
mean,
everyone I think realizes it. I
Coach
think we
Cassidy,
do.
because that's obviously a
Who
decision
who
maker,
doesn't? But
and
who doesn't realize that he's a player that could
Coach
definitely make
Cassidy
smart?
apparently because Coach, and again, this is just talking off of Ben Hutton's number of games played when the roster was healthy and everything. It wasn't that many, and Hutton has had some real good windows with this team, and I guess it's good. There's going to be some competition, right? I mean, you have three defenders pretty set in their ways right now, of course, with Hannafin, McNabb, Theodore. And then the other three defenders, there's some questions, right? With when it
Mhm.
comes to White Cloud, when it comes to Lazan, when it comes to Hutton. Um, I'm forgetting a
Korzak.
defender. Korzak, thank you. Korzak, big
Well,
question.
Korzak
Big
again.
question. So
Small
those
sample
defenders
size.
are
We
all
don't
kind of
know.
competing for, four defenders, three roles, one on a second line role. So it'll be fun, and maybe this is the push that the defenders need to stay sharp, right? I mean, the top six defenders for the last couple of years have been pretty comfortable. It's not been, you got your top six, then there's Ben Hutton waiting, there's Caden Korzak waiting, but the top six are pretty set in stone. This year, the top six is not set in stone, and I we're talking about the depth and the concern and everything, and the roster being set. What we're not talking a lot about is all of a sudden Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore a number one shutdown D pairing, and Braden McNabb can fill that role. I don't know if Theodore can. It'll be interesting to see how Theodore changes, alters his game from going against the other team's number ones and number twos a lot more. So, do I buy that the roster is set for now? Possibly for now. When I say for now, basically now until about December, barring anything major happening. And then January 1, all bets are off. McCrimmon starts doing his thing and sees what the situation is, and boom, off we go.
He's elite, very elite. I think that's what McCrimmon said about Ben Hutton. No, he actually said that about Marner. But let's face it, the loss again of Alex Pietrangelo is
Huge.
going to hurt this team immensely when Pietrangelo was healthy. It is. There's no
No,
doubt.
no doubt. I mean, the healthy Pietrangelo, without Pietrangelo, this team is not a Stanley Cup winner in 22, 23, and, not hanging all the Pacific banners and everything that they hung when he was with the team. And there's no filling that gap. There's no one out there. I mean, that reasonably that the Golden Knights could get that would simply erase the loss in the locker room side of Pietrangelo and everything. Family guy, not afraid to stand up to the coaching staff when things aren't going well, but has a healthy relationship with every single person the moment he walks in the T-Mobile or City National Arena. And it'll be fun, I guess, to see who can step up maybe into that role. And I say step up into that role, that's disrespectful to Pietrangelo, but who has learned from what Pietrangelo has left behind? Who has he?
Korzak, he says
Yeah, I mean,
Korzak if
it'd
he
be
has
great to see what
Pietrangelo.
Korzak can do and all that. And, is he going to become Pietrangelo? No one's going to become Pietrangelo, but hopefully people were paying attention to what Pietrangelo was. I mean, he still is a Golden Knight, but when he was an everyday player on this team, and hopefully they can adapt some of what they learned from him.
The one name that really does have to stand up this upcoming season, that's Hannafin. There's no doubt. He's got to take that step up here because, and especially getting a good start, as we've mentioned on the show before. On that Eichel situation, of course, McCrimmon was also quoted in this story, said that it's the top priority, as we've heard from the end of the season now till now. Number one priority to sign Eichel to an extension. McCrimmon saying that there's a lot of interest from both sides to work something out. So conversations continue, and I'm so curious. I wonder what is being said. I'm wondering too how frequently, they're catching up and meeting, having conversations.
I'm fine with what Saravelli last week saying that the deal is likely before the season starts and that Eichel likely signs before Kaprizov. If he's making that statement, I'll buy that there's some meat on the bone. And I know Golden Knight fans, they love to doubt Saravelli every time he opens his mouth, but this is a time when the Golden Knight fans should be paying attention. So hopefully Saravelli is on the ball there. And I mean, I know what happened with Marchessault last year. I know I'm talking out both sides of my mouth, but I can't see a world that exists where Eichel is not getting an 8-year, 13.5 to $14.5 million extension AAV.
Coming up next, last week we previewed the Pacific Division. Today we take a look at FanDuel's total points in the division. We'll talk about that next when we return on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back on Locked On Golden Knights, this Monday edition. We're back to business, Chris. 5 days a week now. We didn't really have a summer vacation. It's not like Golick was saying,
We didn't even go
I'm
anywhere this
sitting
summer.
on a boat in Anchorage and I'm not taking any questions. We kind of missed that this summer. We did.
I miss being on a cruise in Alaska. Although this has been a tiring weekend. This is the most tiring weekend in the Golick household besides Christmas. Sunday, September 7th, my daughter Allie's 10th birthday. Happy birthday, Allie. And then today, 9-8 is the VP's birthday. That's my wife Amanda.
That's
the
the
VP.
wife. I saw that on Facebook. I gave it a
It's
like.
It's on Facebook. It's official. So
Yeah.
busy weekend, but we
Employee
had
of
a
the year
great
every
What's
year.
that?
Employee of the year every year.
Yes, the only employee of the year. But no, we had a great lunch at Samurai yesterday, Japanese steakhouse in Henderson, and then I think tonight we're going. Tony knows where we're going tonight. Likely, Tony knows. Where are we going tonight, Tony? Where are we going?
You're going to Juan's
We're
Flaming
going to Juan's
Fajitas.
tonight. We're going to Juan's tonight.
I have to admit, I did get them to go like a week ago. I had to do it. I was just like, you know what? I deserve this. The shrimp fajitas, that's money. I did shrimp. Oh my goodness.
Steak and
Don't
chicken.
forget, yes, no more food reviews, fans. Of course, Fridays, though, we do have WTF Day. That is what, the Friday. And we're going to have some spectacular news coming up shortly. So FanDuel has its points predictions that you could bet over or under for this upcoming season. And at the top of the heap, 106.5 for VGK and Edmonton. So 106.5 points for those two teams. And you know what? Right now, my inkling is to go under on both the Golden Knights and Edmonton.
I would agree on Edmonton just because there's been so
You
much
think slippage? Yeah, you still do.
I think there's going to be some slippage. They're going to be tired, although Florida doesn't get tired, so maybe not. But it just feels like, I mean, with the goalie situation, and again, Edmonton can still get between 99 and 103 points and be a Stanley Cup contender. But I just don't see them being that on for the entire season. And the Golden Knights, I mean, they got 110 points last season with a hobbled Pietrangelo and okay goaltending. And you can't tell me that the team's going to go backwards with Aiden Hill, who's been taking steps forward, with Mitch Marner, who's going to help some of the defensive concerns we have. So I think over 107, I mean, there's no such thing as a lock by any means, but I think that's a pretty solid bet if you don't mind your money being locked up for the next 7 months.
So we have the LA Kings, who you think might dip a little bit. I think that they're on the come up, and they're at 98.5 points. I would take over there. You and I are disagreeing like crazy.
It's 98 feels low for a team who's always just kind of right.
They're hovering. They're hovering. Yeah,
they're also getting older, and like, what are they doing? I feel the offseason hasn't been a whole lot there. I'll go slightly under, but I think we're like between 97 and 99. I think it's that close.
The rest of the division, Vancouver at 89 and a hook. I'm going under there. Gary 84 and a half. And that could be an overplay for me.
Yeah,
that might be the best value, I think.
I'm starting with Vancouver. I think that's a team just in need of a complete reset, so I'll go under there. And the Flames, I mean, I think 96 was probably 10 higher than what their over under was the previous year. So they scored 96 points. You said 88 for Calgary?
84 and a hook.
84? I think the over is in play there.
I think that's the best bet, best value.
Unless the Anderson situation just, distracts the team and Nazem Kadri says, okay, I'm out, unless just a meltdown happens. But I think the over is, I like that better than the Golden Knights over.
You also have in that division Anaheim. Interesting.
Over. I don't care what the number is. Over.
81 and a half, 81 and a hook. And I think that's over too. 81 and a half with the new coaching regime, the New York Rangers West there. Chris Kreider threw out the first pitch. It really got us really fired up there as Ranger fans. He threw out the first pitch at an Anaheim baseball game the other night. The catcher was Jacob Trouba. It was great.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was. They were trolling Ranger fans, I'm sure. But
The Ducks catcher or the Angels catcher was on IR apparently. I
right,
mean, you got two-way betting happening. It's 108 and it's minus 108 and minus 112 on both sides for that Ducks over under. So it's getting
108 and
two-way action, which
112.
is
Huh? I
yeah, no,
know
it's getting
they're an
two-way
interesting
action, which is
team.
crazy right now. I don't
Yeah,
agree with that. So you're telling me that last year's Ducks team that lost an uninterested Trevor Zegras, who plays no defense,
right,
and a full year of Dostal, who's every bit of the goaltender that John Gibson is, possibly better, on
right.
top of your Rangers additions, on top of Joel Quenneville,
Quinville.
you're
Yeah,
telling me that 81, what's the number, 81 and a half?
yeah. 81 and a hook.
You're
Let's
telling me
go
this team's
over.
not going to be 2 points better than last year? I think you're
All right,
nuts.
all right.
And the
We're gonna go.
Pacific is okay, but it didn't take a major step forward either.
We are going over on that one, and Calgary at 84 and a half. I think we're both in agreement there. The other two teams, the Kraken,
Under
78 and a half. My goodness, what is up with that
78 too.
organization?
That's
That is so difficult to figure out, man. And then, of course, at the bottom, we've got the San Jose Sharks at 70 and a half. Do you have what they wound up with last year?
yeah. Sharks had 52 points last year, 18 more points. That's. I
The
mean, you got a
addition of
possible
Ryan
full season
Reeves.
of Askarov in the net, which is going to
Yeah,
help that team.
Askarov,
And
that's for sure. Huh.
that's, I mean, I would lay off that. But I mean, listen, the sportsbook, they know what they're doing. They didn't build these shiny sports books off of the success of, square bettors like me and Tony and everyone watching this show. So if the book thinks they're going to take that big of a step forward, then I'll agree with the book, and I would just go over on Sharks and close my eyes and pray for rain. Seattle Kraken, no, that's a team again, no identity. Chandler Stevenson is going to score 52 of the quietest points in the National Hockey League and have a solid season, but goaltending, I mean, Daccord is a great goalie. Can he carry that team and steal a bunch of games? He's going to have to. But
Got a
I'm
great
not feeling
mask.
anything on the Kraken under.
Joey Daccord has a terrific mask he just unveiled, and they have
Oh,
those
with Eddie
new
Vedder, right?
Yeah, they have those new Well, he has a new one that's got Sparky, the ASU mascot, somewhere in there. I couldn't find it for crying out
I mean,
loud.
they copied the Golden Knights glow in the dark jerseys.
The glow in the dark. Where are those glow in the dark jerseys, and do they really glow for VGK?
Those are
I
the
think
best jerseys. It's hanging over
weren't
my
they a
the clothes.
bust?
I got hanging over my shoulder. Those were the best. Those and the red reverse retros
Weren't
were
they
the
a
best.
bust though? Like they don't glow. I mean,
They
that's
glow. They
they
glow.
do.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
You got the jersey and the dragon mixed up, Tony.
The start of the hockey season, of course, ahead. And don't forget the rookie face-off is this weekend coming up in Denver. Where are the stinking rosters? We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. And we'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. And please have a great day and take care.